Excellent. So it's 2:35. It's time for our the last speaker in our track, and maybe I can do a little introduction. Brenda Bell has given TCF talks on topics ranging from internet searching to connected mobile devices to special interest social networks. And Brenda acquired a Cricut. Is that right? Cricut?
Cricut.
Cricut. Okay, a Cricut
Yeah.
Explore Air in 2018, and spent her first 2 weeks with the device bumping her head against its limitations, and has since figured out how to use third-party software to create her own designs. She worked at Michael's from 2011 to 2021 and has led Cricut classes there. And she's also secretary of ACG&J, where she's facilitated the mobile devices SIG for the past 11 years. Excuse me, she's an independent crafter, and she's not connected or affiliated or connected with Cricut or Provo Crafts. So why don't we please welcome Brenda Bell virtually.
Okay, hi everybody. So I'm just gonna start up the PowerPoint part of this here, and where am I? I'm working on 2 screens, so it gets very interesting when I figure out what I'm sharing, how I'm sharing what. Oh, I think I need to do it, I don't know if it's that way or the other way. Give me a moment here, and come on. From beginning, that's what I want. Okay, good. Now, I just want to make sure that I'm sharing this properly. Doesn't look like I've got it right. Okay. Zoom meeting. I share. I got to go back out on that. Okay. Okay, I think that's correct. Okay. Let's see. Are you seeing a PowerPoint slideshow here, or are you seeing something else?
I am seeing PowerPoints. Yeah.
Okay,
oh, sorry.
great.
Oh, well, we're seeing the not the normal presenter view, right? We're seeing like what normally you would see, but not what we're supposed to see.
Okay, so you're seeing the presenter view and not the slideshow view.
Yes.
Okay, so I've got the wrong thing shared here. That's it's just a little bit confusing on how I'm doing meeting controls. Okay, let's come back here, new share. Let's try that. Okay, let's screen share. That's, I think, what I want. Okay, what are you seeing now?
Looks good to me, yeah.
Okay, great. It's one of those trying to figure out how to share it with the presenter view. Okay, so basically this is about my 3rd time doing this for TCF, but we've got new machines, new updates. So it's an introduction to Cricut and home cutting machines. And basically these are machines that will do custom cutting and drawing and several other things for crafting, use for small businesses. There's a whole bunch of uses for them. And this is basically the same intro that I just got here, and definitely have to put the disclaimer in there. I don't think Provo Crafts actually has, other than their own staff who do YouTubes, any official trainers. But so anyway, so in this introductory section, we're gonna cover what home cutting machines are, some of their uses. We're gonna go a little deeper into the Cricut cutters because that's what I'm most familiar with, and Design Space, which is Cricut's software, and we'll just create a simple project with that. So basically, there's home electronic cutters or home cutting machines or crafting cutters, whatever you want to call them. There are a special class of CNC machines. Basically, you're using either the early ones used built-in controls, the new ones use apps and app-based controls to control the lines, cuts, basically the movements of the machine. It's like a one-pen plotter in terms that has an X and a Y axis. And depending on what tool you have in there and which machine, you can cut, you can score, you can emboss, you can write. And so most of the time, your basic tool is your small, sharp knife. The pen or the stylus will give you writing and scoring, and some of the more advanced, let me just go back again here. Some of the more advanced systems have additional features, built-in scanners, rotary blades, other tools. So this is my general sorts of things you can make with it. You're going to see here some paper crafting. A lot of people do custom greeting cards. This year I just used some corporate branding for a club to do something that the piece on the left would be an LED lantern, for like a party. You'll see t-shirts. A lot of people make fancy t-shirts. And some people sell them. They make t-shirts for events, t-shirts for holidays, and their small business. And up on the upper right, you've seen where I've used it to personalize a couple of cases for some of my needlework supplies. And so you're seeing here a bunch of different types of crafts. Now this is actually one of the welcome screen, initial screens in Design Space, showing you a bunch of different types of crafts you can make there. And this is, of course, Cricut's a part of Cricut's library of licensable designs. Now, what you're seeing on the left is actually the control dial, the quick control dial for one of the older machines. In this case, it's an Explorer Air. The Explorer Air 2 also has them. The newer machines, this dial has disappeared, and what you're using instead is a computer-based control. So you're going to see stencil film, iron-on vinyl, paper, adhesive vinyl, and if we were in person, I'd pass around samples. I can't really do that here, unfortunately. And of course, it's a lot more than that. The three major brands of home cutting machine that you're going to find on the market are Brother, Cricut, and Silhouette. And of those, it's going to be mostly Cricut and Silhouette. Brother, I think their latest machine is a lot older than the other two, and it seems to have more of a specialty market that connects in with their electronic sewing machines and embroidery machines. So mostly it's going to be Cricut and Silhouette, and you can get them at major craft store chains. I know Target even sells Cricut machines, and I know Walmart sells as well, and home shopping channels, of course, all the time. So I've taken here just the top-end systems that are currently on the market. I just did a quick comparison of features. There's going to be actually a second screen like this as well. So you see they all support a pen or a stylus. So vinyl rolls, this is for a longer cut. Most of them you're going to use a mat for the thing. And so it will do it, but only, so most of them will do it, support vinyl rolls. The Cricut requires a special type of material for it. The software, like Brother Scan Cut, has a built-in scanner, so it'll scan the mat, see where it is. The iPad has a version of Design Space, will allow you, I can show you this later when we look into materials, but most of the time, these systems aren't designed to make your most economical use of expensive materials. Additional cutting and tools are available. Now, the US cutter here, this here is a commercial machine. It only does vinyl, but I just put it here for comparison purposes. And we're seeing our price comparisons here. And also note that the Silhouette Cameo, that's their short one, that's $299 12-inch. They also have wider models, which are going to be useful for bigger crafts. Okay. Oh, and they're all working at this point. All of the current models have Bluetooth connectivity, so you don't have a cord going between you and them, just the electric power. Brother has the built-in view screen, and most of them now have offline capability. All of them work with an app, accept uploaded images, and you can see the different image formats here. Okay, so now just some kind of the earlier generations of cutters didn't connect to a computer, didn't connect to an internet. So you just had your images were on a little cartridge, and they have a little, and they have come with an instruction book that tells you what's in the cartridge and how to use it. And there's a little slot that those go into. And if I go back to stop the share for the moment, and so if this will allow me to do it, the cartridge looks something like this. And sorry, this is just not focusing properly. And it comes with a little book with instructions in it. I think I would need to switch to a different screen on that. Let's see. If you look at the screen that says Guadalajara, you should see that's you. Let me get my thing here. Where's mine? That's where my thing is. Okay, so that's the cartridge there, and this would be the booklet, and it flips open and shows you the designs and stuff there. Okay, I'll come back to my screen share. This is what happens when you have to use 3 screens to get what you want done. Where am I? Back to share screen, and back to, I think it's that one, yeah? No, that one. Okay. Okay, so that should have me back where I was. Okay, so one of the other things that happens is most of these companies have their designs available through a design library that you either purchase by design or you license software as a service. Cricut's is called Cricut Access, and these are the current plans. Generally speaking, if you're going for it, you want to go for the annuals if you need it all the time. There are some things that actually make it useful now, that you can store more of your own designs and you have better management of them if you pay for the paid plan. If you pay for the plan. It used to be that unless you were using a lot of their images, it really just paid to license the image as you needed it. Now it's a little more of a toss-up. So, but they're definitely trying to get you to buy into the continuing payment on that. Okay, so design software. Again, Cricut runs on proprietary software only. Some of the other machines allow you to download what I would call industry standard software, such as Shortcuts a lot, which is apparently a much better level of software, and that's as a kind of also note that Design Space does not have Bezier tools. That is the first thing I noticed about it. That said, what do they think they're doing, or what do they how do you expect to use this? But then I'm coming from a graphic design background as well, and I'm used to using Bezier tools. Anyway, so Silhouette Studio, it goes with your Silhouette machines, and they have a couple different versions there, and most people who have Silhouettes upgrade to the most expensive level of Silhouette Studio because it allows you to create images to sell, if you want to license the image, as well as to save your projects and some other stuff as that, and gives you access to more of their tools. So again, I'm with Cricut, so I'm using Design Space. There are separate versions for PC, Mac, iOS, and Android. The features are largely the same, but they arrange differently, and they also, how you save a project is going to depend to some degree whether you're going to be switching between platforms or not. So this here is what we're seeing is the desktop screen. This is what they call the canvas, which is basically what you're working on. But when you first log in, you're going to see a screen that looks like this. And this is going to show, I don't think it really it's not really that visible on this screen here, but basically you'll see both featured images and my own images in the second row. These would be like images that I've uploaded that either I've licensed elsewhere or I've created myself. And and then you have a profile. This is your user profile that you can also share with the community, and you can make some of your projects public. I'm usually careful that if I'm making a project public, it's not going to have anything that has anything licensed that I can't have other people use commercially. So then the next thing you do is select a project. Now this Hello Phone card we will probably come back to. This is the starter project I used for the Explore Air. You could also press new project and start from scratch. You can search for a project from a number of projects they have in their library. And once you've decided on a project, you're going to, if it's not one of your own, if it's from the library, it's usually going to have a price attached unless you are a paying member of Cricut Access. And you'll see that in the pullout for this one next to that green A. This particular project will cost $1. You don't have to pay for that until you actually cut it. You can design it all you want until you press make it and start cutting. You don't have to pay for it. So in this case, it's telling me what it uses and what it costs and what the cost breakdown is. So there's part of this, the envelope part is free. It's one of the pieces they put in their basic set of things available. And then the other part, the $1, is going for just for the image of the cutout. And again, we're back into the canvas view. This is where you're going to customize your project, compose it. You're going to change your colors, do other things from it there. And I just gave it's a different arrangement in iOS. Probably what I should do next time around is just put the information as notes and put these things full screen. I'll have to switch that, show that off later. And Android, again, now what happens is the tools, which are at the bottom, because it's a smaller space, you actually have a slider and it slides back and forth to see all your tools. Here in landscape, now you can see them all arranged out. So again, you can bring in your own designs. So this is on the item called upload. And you click on, so you can see here things that I've uploaded, but I can also go and upload something new right under upload image, click on the button, and I can either drag and drop or go to a menu. A pattern fill will be using just something that patterns in there. Okay. And then in the canvas view, you can manipulate your elements. So you're going to use, you'll see, I don't know how visible this is, but you'll see things that say weld and slice and group here. And those are different ways of manipulating your pieces of design. This design here, I actually did entirely within Design Space without the Bezier curves, just by using shapes, dragging them, basic shapes, dragging them into different dimensions, cutting and welding. The letters are just regular alphabets. That's another thing there. So this here is the mat view. So basically, once you're finished with your design, you have up in the upper right corner a green Make It button. So so once you press Make It, you start loading your mats to cut, and this is the mat view. So for the design that I had on the previous page, which happens to be the shirt that I'm wearing right now, it has multiple mats, and you see one for each color. And that mat view is telling you what's cutting out of each mat. If you're doing heat transfer vinyl, you have to mirror it. That's so it tells you what to do with that, and you know, you mark what your material is, and then go to your material settings. So as I mentioned a little earlier, except when you're using rolls, you're going to use a cutting mat, and basically you're going to put your material on a mat, and this keeps the material in place and straight as it goes through the machine, and the machine will cut through your material and usually not through the mat if you have it set right. So there's a couple of different strengths of mat. They're color coded, or at least for Cricut, they're color coded. And there's actually a fourth one that I don't have here, which is a pink mat. This one here is purple. Strong grip is purple. There's a pink mat, which is a fabric mat, which is used for cutting bonded fabrics, or if you have the maker in a rotary blade, you can use it for quilting projects. Okay. And again, in that Make It screen, you're going to be setting your material and loading your tools. Let's see. So in this case, I have the dial on my older Cricut set to cardstock. If I have it on custom, or I have an older one, or I have a newer machine, it will instead ask me to set my material. And so here I actually have a dial. I have settings for common materials and custom materials, and I have a whole list of materials here. Browse all materials. And then I'm going to put my material on the mat, load it into the machine, press go, and it will start making the mat. So at this point, let me go. I'm going to skip that because we're going to go do that live. So once we've cut and typed and cut, we weed, which is taking out the pieces we don't need, and then we can put the project together. That was something I was looking for. I'll have some come back to the resources later. And what am I doing here? I need to, yeah, really, that's not what I wanted. That's what I think I wanted. Yes. Okay. So, okay, I see something that said Delahara was not muted. I thought that was. Okay. My audio share or leave. I'm not sure it's that. See the Android. If my machines are, other machines are saying they do not have attached audio. Okay. So let me swap across and move over back to Villahara. Okay, let me try something here. Okay, at this point, I've turned off the mic on the head on my headset. Is it still echoing? Okay.
We can't really tell if it's echoing unless you say something.
Hmm?
We need you to can't really tell if it's echoing or not.
Okay. Yeah, someone was saying an echo chamber, and my other systems are all saying I have the audio not joined at all, and my volume's all the way down, so I'm not sure why it's giving an echo effect.
Yeah, it's we can understand you. It's just it is slightly, unusual, but I think if we can't get rid of it, we can continue.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely an issue because this happens sometimes even when I have just another system on in the room, and I don't know if it's my computer. I don't know if it's the head. It's the head. If I take the headset off, it gets worse apparently. So I'm really not sure. Okay, so I'm gonna switch over to Villahara at this point, and we want to use that as our main screen. Or I'm gonna say switch over to that. That's the one for W. And what I'm gonna do here is join the audio. I'm going to can I unmute that? I don't know if I can do that. Yeah, unmute that. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna need somebody to tell me. Okay, I'm still muted. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to turn off the Android, I think.
So I just unmute. Let's see. I think it got better.
Okay, I just
You're
turned off the
unmuted
Android.
on Willahara and you're muted on your other device.
Yeah, I just turned off the Android Zoom altogether at this point. So I basically figured that was going to if where we're going. So any rate, so this is paper hat that I've got that I did party hat. It's gotten crunched through too many times traveling as an example. Business cards and business card stand. I did that last time we were at a physical TCF. That was an interesting project through. Now this t-shirt is using something called infusible ink, and it's difficult to tell in the lighting here, but it does not have a vinyl applied. It uses a special sublimation process that Cricut has designed, and I can talk about that at another time as needed. And I'm going to set that back to, yeah, I have put that in back into there. This is using multiple techniques. This one used tie-dye, splatter ink, and batik as well as vinyl. So there's a whole bunch of things. That's like mostly a whole lot of fabric stuff. I'm doing mostly t-shirts. I did get some reflective tape, and I customized my bicycle helmet. And so those will reflect back in the dark. Good thing when your bicycle helmet only comes in black. And if anyone remembers the old joke, I put it in the Rankin scale just to make it a little geekier because, you know, geek. Okay. Oh, and yeah, I customized all my, you wonder what's on your USB drive? Well, I've got them all tagged. And I put the little tag onto the keychain so I know what's on all my USB drives. Convenient little bit of, okay, so now what I'm going to do here. So my machine has already been turned on and I may have to, sorry about the lighting in here. This is just where my, this one, so I'm going to turn, I'm going to open my machine that is button here. And so turned it on and I really wish I had something that would zoom in a little closer. It's just kind of a bit of a pain there. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to create, let me go back to, I think I've got the share screen available here. Share content, screen. Okay. Start broadcast there. That should be fine. Okay. Now, okay, that should be, yep, good. Look over to the other screen and I see it's bringing up. So this is on the iPad right now. And I'm going to go to, okay, that was my last thing I was looking for. Okay, so this is the starter project that's used. And going to go to make it at the moment. And it's going to load. Okay, so I'm not doing any customization here. It's just telling me what pieces it's going to need. I'm going to come back and when I go to next thing here.
Yeah, problem with these is
It
Yeah.
should connect to my machine.
there's so much crust, there's so little filling.
Okay. Let's get to equipment here. So now it's saying net on that, mirror off. Next. Okay, it asked me to select my accessory. I selected it. Okay, it should be connecting by Bluetooth. It might have an issue because I don't think I did this in here. Okay, this is what I'm going to have to go back to the computer to attach it. At this point, it's just, I'm just going to use this for the visual of the other things here. Okay, I'm going to stop that share for the moment. Okay, so we're going to use that. So now I'm going to go back to the regular computer here and share screen. And what's this? Really, it's not doing what I wanted to show all windows. There we go. Okay, that's bizarre. Okay, I'm not sure where my vocal's coming from now, so let me know if it gets too low to hear or too ridiculous. What I'm going to try to do right now is get over to, yeah, I should be screen sharing the Cricut Access page or Cricut page. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. So it wants me to join Cricut Access. No, I don't need that. And I'm going to go to Gonna do the same search there. And once it comes up, or should come up, I just have that there. Oh, it didn't like that. There we go. Okay. Okay, so I'm going back to make it from the computer at this point. Okay, and continue here. It might have had an issue because I might not have reassociated the Cricut with my iPad when I had to replace the iPad. So you'll see it says set base material. That's because I have the system on custom, which you'll see from Valhara's screen if you can. I can't zoom in on from there. So ask me to load a pen. And
So is it possible to zoom out just a little bit more, just because we can only see kind of the head of the machine, not the
well, let me see.
loading.
Let's. I'm looking back at, yeah, okay, you're only seeing the head of the machine
Yeah,
right
kind
now
of the
there.
cutting head, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of where. This
I
is a
see.
gooseneck, so it's
I think that's better. Yeah, I think that.
okay, great.
More overview.
That should work. I think I need a little bit more that way. Okay. So yeah, so now it's custom. It's asking me for my base material. And I'm going to go to browse all materials. And at this point, this is just going to be cardstock. So I'm going to look for just. And I'm just going to call it cardstock. And that will automatically set the depth of which the machine will be cutting to. And it is now asking me to load my pen in what's called the A clamp. And I'll load it in and click. And Cricut makes its own pens, but as long as you have a pen that fits the barrel and that goes just long enough to make the point touch down on the mat when it is writing, you're good to go. And a lot of crafters use third-party on there. And the next thing I'm going to do is load a sheet of paper. This was going to be the top sheet of the image. I'm just going to grab. I should have pulled these out before and I just didn't because I was like too last minute on everything. Whatever. So I've got my 2 pages of paper that I'm going to use for this. And this is going to be the top one. And so on the mat, make sure I'm seeing the mat here. Okay, look across. So there's a grid on the mat and I'm aligning my paper to the grid on the mat. And it's the mat, it has adhesive on it. So I'm going to stick it down and try to make sure I have no bubbles in it, no anything else. These mats need to be kept clean and they get lint on them all the time. So now the other thing I'm going to do is note that I have my cutting blade in my clamp B. And this one's the regular cutting blade. If I push on this little button here, the little blade pops out. And that's how I would change the blade if I need to change the blade. And we'll pop in clamp there. So now I've got a flashing up and down light. That means I need to load my paper stock in. So I'm loading my mat into the guides, and I'm going to press my load button. And that will also say that over here on my load button. And I put the silver pen in. This actually is a stupid machine. It doesn't care what pen you put in. I could put in, it could say silver pen. If I put in a gold pen, if I put in a black pen, it won't know the difference. But that helps sometimes if you just want to design quickly. Now I've got a flashing Cricut icon button, and that's my go button. And now it's going to start this part of the design. And you can see on the mat view that it's doing the drawing part of the operation. And you can see on the Villahara view, the print head, cutting printing head cut down there. And apparently some of the newer machines are not quite as noisy. And now it's finished with the drawing. Now it's going to move on to the cutting, and it's going to use the tool and the B clamp here. And it's this is a fairly simple project. Well, maybe not fairly simple. It's got all these little things to weed out of it, but. Also, some of the newer machines are faster, but for what I need, I don't need to spend the extra money, so I haven't. The last thing is, at some point, it's going to cut the outer rim. Yep, that's the last piece it's doing. Oh, okay, that's what it's doing. Okay, so 2 passes. I told it intricate cut, so it was probably just doing, unload material. Got it. So load, unload, and it should, usually it asks for a second mat that it does to the outside. I'm not seeing it on this one, but at any rate, so I'm going to unload it. Usually you put your mat upside down and peel the mat off the material rather than the material off the mat. That actually just pulled the part that's not this off the mat. Try that again. And this is not doing exactly what I want. Yeah, it broke in the middle. What's supposed to happen is that comes off. And actually, let me get my weeding tool. And you can use a plain old dental pick also, it works. But your weeding tool is what's used to remove the parts of the design that aren't the design. And you do the, and in this, it's just on paper. If I were using vinyl, the vinyls have carriers on them. So I would actually be pulling it off the vinyl carrier. And, I would just take it off the mat and then pull it off the vinyl carrier. Come on. Anyway, so anyway, to continue on, you just basically pull out all the parts that aren't the design And at this point, I am going to be a little more careful about removing this. Okay. And it did make a break in the cut when it did this, but this is the design, and it was in the original, there was a colored underlay, which apparently this didn't ask me to do, because it is now asking me to click on done as opposed to do the next part. So that is a simple basic project. I am going to use my spatula to pull off the rest of those little pieces of weed, and I'm going to put cover back on my mat. Sorry for the extra noise here. It's like a thin acetate film that's used to protect the adhesive surface of the mat. Okay, so so that's basic Cricut project. And let's see, I'm going to go to stop the share at the moment. Okay, and okay, so that's basic project. And I do have some resources for information on picking up information and materials. I don't know, what's our timing like at this point?
Let's see. I think we have another 5 minutes or so. Does it? Let me just take a look. The keynote.
We have until
It's-
3:30.
Oh, it's 3. Well, right. It starts at 3:40. But yeah, if we could go. I think we probably want to open the floor for questions.
Yeah,
in a
that's
few
what I'm,
minutes. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I guess, probably is just share that last page so that you've got your resources. That's not what I wanted to do, was it? Yeah. Page. That should do it. Share screen. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to look at any questions from, oh, and what am I looking for? Where is the chat on this side? I gotta go back to it on here. Okay, no big deal, just kind of a, what am I doing deal? Okay. Really? Why am I not seeing the chat? I don't know. That's not what I wanted. Last. Guess I'm gonna quit that. Okay. Meeting controls. Yeah. Okay. Let's stop the share. I just want to look at the chat. Okay. Got it. Okay, so yeah, I'm not seeing anything in the chat here. Does anybody have any questions? Anything further about this?
So if maybe let me open up the floor first in case
Oh, I'm
anyone
sorry.
else wants to go first. But I had a question. But
Sure,
does
yeah,
anybody
go
want to
ahead.
chime in? Yeah.
Mhm.
I see a hand up, I think, right?
Okay.
This is Daniel. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Great. I loved your presentation. It was very detailed, very hands-on-y. I love that. Question I have for you is, how would you design and print or cut fabrics to be applied to curved surfaces?
Ooh, okay. So that that basically goes into fabric design. And since since a woven fabric is generally two-dimensional, you're actually using darts to curve your fabric, or you're using the bias. If it's just a very small amount of curve, you're using the bias on the fabric. So that's kind of a completely different craft. What you can do is you can use your fabric cutting tools to cut a fabric with the darts in place, and you can use like a normal fabric like there are fabric markers that will work in the pen tool side of the Cricut, that you can then mark your fabric so you know where your darts are, and then you would basically cut your fabric piece and seam it along the dart line.
I see. Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
So one question I had was, you showed kind of a comparison early on of some of the different machines, and there was I think it was called Silhouette, that was $100 less and seemed to have the same capabilities. Do you have a preference for the Cricut versus the Silhouette?
Well, I bought the Cricut because, well, what happened was we had a previous version in the classroom at Michael's that worked on a different software. And I loaded that software onto my computer because I wanted to see if I could work it that way. And I had some problems with it, but turns out about 2 months after I downloaded it onto my computer, Cricut said, we're sunsetting this in the next 3 months, and we will give you $75 to upgrade to a current model. And I wasn't really thinking of buying my own, but I'm saying, okay, I knew that we weren't going to update in the classroom, and we had a lot of customers with questions. I said, okay, let me see what I can get with that $75 discount. And this machine was, I think it was probably about $200 new originally, and I got it for just over $100. I got a package deal bundle with it, so I actually spent about $150, but it got me my a set of mats, and it got me my basic tool set, and it got me a couple of basic materials to start with. And so it ended up being the better deal for me for somebody just starting out. And then I just learned the system, and it was easy for me to learn because, again, I've come from knowing, Corel Draw, Adobe Illustrator, those type of graphic tools, which is of course why I was very frustrated with a design tool that doesn't have a Bezier curve, among other things. I was also frustrated because their language handling was not really very good. And what I was seeing was a lot of crafts that were made for Christian religious, but not Jewish. So now going into, when you start looking at the right to left alphabets, it gives you there's another challenge when you're doing that in Western European design software. So so anyway, that was why I tell people I broke design space. But so that's why I got the Cricut. But if I were just going myself, I would probably go with the Silhouette. Basically, it has the roll holder built right into it. I would spend for the higher level of software. It's got a better software setup. And now the tools are slightly different, but one of the tools that the Silhouette does have is a rhinestone cutter. And Silhouette is generally, I'd say, friendlier towards the SMB owner as opposed to the home crafter. So basically, if you own a business, the Silhouette is, I think it's friendlier because it allows you to create your own designs. You can remarket your designs. Whereas anything that I make in Design Space, if I save it in Design Space, that's the only place it's ever going to be. If I have a design that I licensed from elsewhere and I make the project in Design Space, I have to be very careful to make sure that it's not somewhere where somebody else can use it without without going back to the original copyright, the intellectual property owner to license it again. I have to be careful if I'm doing any sort of corporate work, again, to either delete it right off or to keep it private. So there's that level of just that level of, I want to say, IP friendliness that I don't necessarily see in Cricut. But Cricut is really nice for home crafters, somebody who doesn't want to go elsewhere for designs. You just want to go grab something, go make it, craft it, or do something really quick for your your soccer team or something like that.
Sounds great. Are there any other questions? If not, let's thank Brenda. Thank you very much. This was really interesting. I learned a lot.